Full disclosure, the voice you are listening to now is artificially generated, brought to you by satisphonic.com. See the link in the description for more details. What job used to be prestigious but isn't anymore? Blacksmith, they were the town engineer, manufacturer, craftsman, and problem solver, all in one. Now they are mostly just hobbyists. Everyone looks down on blacksmiths until your horse throws a shoe. Who's laughing then, huh? The farrier, because business is booming. Yawn, that's so old school. I do all my horseshoeing streaming online in the nude now, right from my phone. The app is called Clip-Plop. My wife and her sister got their dad a handcrafted, forged, wood grill that he still uses. The thing looks like a work of art. Some people are able to make a living that way. Newspaper columnist and local news anchor. They used to be celebrities when they were the primary mediums people got their news from. Back when I was a kid in early 90s and I was staying in my grandma's village over summer break, the local news used to be announced by a guy who was beating a drum to announce all the people to come out in the street. Then he would announce local news through a megaphone, since most villages around didn't have a local TV station or access to any TV channels other than the national television. That guy was a local celebrity. New anchor for sure has no real meaning anymore. I know someone that is a local anchor here in my area. She treats herself like a local celebrity and thinks she deserves the attention, recognition, and catering of a major Hollywood A-lister. I knew her for about a year before someone told me what it was she did. I had no idea and didn't really care after I found out. And they still get a good amount of respect for being manufacturers, craftsmen, problem solvers. Flight attendant. Back in the 1970s, if you were dating a stewardess, all your friends were jealous. You're so beautiful, you could be an air hostess in the 60s. You could be a part-time model. New anchor for sure has no real meaning anymore. I know someone that is a local anchor here in my area. She treats herself like a local celebrity and thinks she deserves the attention, recognition, and catering of a major Hollywood A-lister. I knew her for about a year before someone told me what it was she did. I had no idea and didn't really care after I found out. Sure, in the USA 1950s, 70s, stewardesses were basically hottie waitresses in the sky with height-weight requirements. The movie Catch Me If You Can portrays the vibe really well. But from ads I've seen for international travel, many foreign countries still have such standards. I'd say pilot too, in certain circumstances. You're a pilot? Cool. What airline? Ryanair? Oh. Really? Why? They got to see the world while you were stuck in your backwater town. Also, traveling by plane was still more of a rich people thing and less mass transportation. So, they got to work in an environment that was considered luxurious. Also, airlines had strict weight and beauty standards in 60s and 70s, so she would have to be pretty and in shape to be a stewardess. I was a furniture and cabinet maker in the 2000s. I designed and built entertainment centers for the new flat-screen TV fad. Paid great, everyone thought I was cool. No one gives a shit anymore, and the pay has scaled way down with this economy, so I'm back in school, selling custom to people buying houses nowadays. I used to be a cabinet maker. Still am, but I used to as well. Have to work for the ultra-rich these days, though. Nobody else wants to pay for quality work. My wife and I have dual income with no kids and make 6 figures. No chance in hell we could afford something that nice. Your skill is awesome, but ugly, flimsy particle board crap that will last us until rent is raised high enough to force us to move again is all we can afford. It's not that your skill isn't valuable or desired, it's that no one can properly compensate nowadays. It used to be airlines had to hire the attractive policy, but with the changing times they hire anybody now. Spice Trader edit. I was of course talking about reading actual spices. With the new movie, being a character in Dune is probably more prestigious than it has ever been. Skady Prime has entered the chat. Nighttime radio DJ. They used to set what music was cool and not. Printer, lithographic or various others. Used to be an amazing career and essential to society. Since the rise of the internet and decline of printed media, the industry has died. Not that long ago, the spread of information was made possible through printers. Not anymore. It also used to be a respectable career for educated deaf men. The presses were noisy, and not a lot of hearing people wanted to deal with that. Travel agent finding flights, booking good hotels, knowing the cool places to go, how to get tickets to events, and how to pull it all together for someone used to be fairly useful skills to have. Now the job is basically non-existent apart from super high-end or specialty position. And corporate companies still have a travel agent on the books to just be the dude who arranges flights and hotel. Honestly, travel agents are more prestigious than they used to be, because once it was accessible for all. Now elites use travel agents for elite perks, lodging, tours, transportation, etc. It's just not known or available to normies. Edit. Clarity. Working at a bank. I knew a guy who tried to commit suicide because he could never achieve his goal of becoming a banker. I used to work in a bank, and that was the reason I was suicidal. My man was never gonna win this one. Honestly, travel agents are more prestigious than they used to be, because once it was accessible for all. Now elites use travel agents for elite perks, lodging, tours, transportation, etc. It's just not known or available to normies. Edit. Clarity. Before the credit score was invented, working as a banker was prestigious because you got to decide if someone got a loan or not. Everyone wanted to be buddies with a local banker because he could sign off on a loan and set the term. How do you think Grandpa bought the house? Now individuals don't do that, algorithms do. Bank manager. Before the credit score was invented, working as a banker was prestigious because you got to decide if someone got a loan or not. Everyone wanted to be buddies with a local banker because he could sign off on a loan and set the terms. How do you think Grandpa bought the house? Now individuals don't do that, algorithms do. Land surveyor. 3 of the 4 presidents on Mount Rushmore were land surveyors, and owning property was a big deal, so people who could give you legal authority over ownership were pretty well respected. Now you make $12 an hour starting to dig holes. Working in academia, in a way. Over last several decades, tenure tracks got way more competitive. Young scientists are now often overworked, underpaid, and have uncertain future. No wonder that many leave the academia for private sector. Academia is the most prevalent multi-level marketing scam there is out there. Most people don't make any money at it. Edit. Apologies. This was a joke. Journalist. It used to be that a journalist was concerned with their reputation above all else. Sure, there were always hacks out there, but most journalists looked at their profession the same way a doctor does. They had a strict code of standards and ethics they adhered to. Nowadays, the title itself is a joke, and thanks to a small handful of corporations owning all news media, it's a purely profit-driven industry, and its rank-and-file follows suit. Academia is the most prevalent multi-level marketing scam there is out there. Most people don't make any money at it. Edit. Apologies. This was a joke. Photographer. My dad used to do it back in the 70s and would make considerable money doing so. It used to be quite a special thing to be able to take good photos. I have been a full-time freelance photographer for about 9 years, and I'm finally having to throw in the towel because no one wants to pay anymore. There's too many cowboys who buy a nice camera and undercut your prices significantly while putting out dog shit work. Your average person doesn't care about the quality of the work enough anymore to justify it being an affordable career, except for those at the very top. It has just gotten worse and worse and worse. One of the things my dad used to make bank doing was photographing damaged shipping containers. We lived near a major port. He'd get called out short notice and be expected to do a 1-hour turnaround. This was obviously in the film and darkroom days, so the shipping companies could send off the prints for insurance claim. He'd get paid like so $1,000 a go to do that because the contents were so valuable, they could justify the expense to get good, well-lit photos. And that was in 70s money. Then digital cameras came around, and any dock worker with 2 brain cells to rub together could do his job. My apocalypse moment has only really just begun with Photoshop A. One of the things I used to get paid well to do is retouching, but this new tech has made it so easy that anyone who can draw a circle and click once can do jobs that would take me an hour in less than 30 seconds with no skill required whatsoever. It's honestly pretty soul-destroying watching my career and business just evaporate around me. I firmly believe that except for a few super high-end guys, photography is going to become the job of the weekend warriors who do it as a side hustle. There's just not enough money in it anymore to make a full-time career justifiable. POTUS. Vet, terrible starting pay, abuse from client, and horrible emotional burnout. It has its positives, don't get me wrong, but there is a reason the profession has such high suicide rates. My ex-wife quit after 1 year of practice because she was so disgusted by the way the public treats their animals. The sheer number of emaciated dogs with matted fur, blind because their drunk owner extinguished cigarettes in both eyes, got to be too much for her. Plus, when she'd tell people she was a vet, they'd answer, "Oh, so you're not a real doctor. Please put Fifi to sleep. I just can't get rid of these fleas," she'd hear all too often. Teacher. I'm not sure about prestigious, but it used to be respected. Journalist. There are still some good ones, but for the most part, they're mouthpieces for the highest bidder and/or just making propaganda. I went to one of the best, most prestigious journalism schools in the country. Decided not to go into that career. I'm not sure about prestigious, but it used to be respected. Back in my parents' time, driver used to be a coveted job, because drivers could very easily become smugglers and get rich.